this is just...
So we do the snap thing.
Yeah.
So when it gets edited, because it doesn't really get edited.
Yeah.
It needs to sink.
But
We're halfway there looking professional.
No, it's good. You need these are so all these things exist for a reason, and it's not until you start doing this shit that you go, we need to cut that bit out. And then we're like, we never snapped, and then we got to find the bit where
or you do 2 hours and we didn't check the sound, and we're like, okay, this is a
2 hours
lesson.
a podcast.
just the three, or did you have a guest?
No, we had
Like two
guests.
girls came all the way from backside of Glasgow.
Oh
And I'm
god.
like, we've not got the volume on that one.
Shit! Did they come back?
So he said, even better, we'll come back. But
not organised
we
it yet.
covered all
Everything.
aspects.
Yeah, and you can never recreate a conversation like that happens naturally.
It's one of the ones. But there's some podcasts that we just know that we can't air.
And that's mostly because of
Well,
John.
let's go for
Let's
that.
protect my brand reputation.
Let's go for an unairable episode today.
So, Connor, how many podcasts have you actually done then? Have you done a few?
I've done a lot. I hopefully in the middle I get my arse into gear and starting one with another comedian as well. But I'm not fucking Kevin Bridges. I'm not going like, I can't say anything about that now. Nobody cares. I'm not that big. But I can't say I can't say anything about it just now, just because we don't know the ins and outs of it. But I think it will be a really good laugh. We've got a good idea for it. The other guy who's involved is very funny as well. So, but it's just trying to fit it in. Like you guys must be the same.
Yeah, time.
Working that as well. It's hard.
Time is the big, time is big enemy.
It's because, and it's also the added variable of us both being touring comedians. Means that like there's 3 months where he's away, there's 3 months where I'm away. So it's obviously not the same 3 months, because that would make too much fucking sense.
That would be a
6
perfect
months
world
of the year where we're going to try and figure out who's going to be in what city at what time and all that. But I've done a fair few of them now.
So I suppose for us, I mean, I think a lot of listeners, you're an established comedian. Is that or are you still up and coming?
Yeah, I've been up and coming for like 7 years now, so I don't think I can say up and coming anymore. But also, it's a funny thing because like things are going really well, but I understand that 90% of people are still just finding me for the first time now.
Okay,
or I've not come across my stuff anymore. So you've got to detach your ego a wee bit, because like you got to understand that not everyone knows that you've been grinding this out for seven years. They've just come across a clip of you now. So I understand, to those people I am very much up and coming.
But you've been around the block.
I've been fucking hell, I've been around the block.
It's a bit jaded. Sounds like a business owner.
Yeah. Aye, essentially, and that's what a lot of this is as much as I'm a creative and you want to just do all the exciting stuff all the time, you're still self-employed and you got to figure out that shit pretty quickly as well.
Aye. I mean, like, you say this quite a lot, Vickers, because Vickers is like the business analyst, the business doctor. It's like you're the overnight success to people
20 years in the making,
8, 10, 20 years in the making.
Yeah.
They don't see all that hard graft that goes into it, and the long nights and the suffering and sometimes the pain.
Of course, and like I feel like I'm qualified to say this because I am genuinely working class, and I worked loads of shitty jobs before comedy, and comedy is the best job I've ever had. It is the hardest one, and I don't mean as in like I wouldn't trade going back to waking up at 7 a.m. and going on a building site or that. Like, I'm not saying being a comedian's harder than being a builder or something, but it's the only job I've ever had where I can't have really any time to switch off. Like, it's the first job where I lay in bed at night and your brain's going, fuck, I need to do this in the morning. As soon as I get up, I need to send this to my accountant, or I need to make sure that that's sorted with my agent. And I kind of miss sometimes the thing of like being employed, where you just go, that's it, the end of the day, clock out. I won't think about work until I wake up in the morning again. But ultimately, it's all to serve you in your own career.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's the difference between employed and self-employed.
100%.
You're doing everything at that point.
I also would never actually be able to go back to being employed because I am also like, I was never a good employee before, but when you've tasted like
the freedom
of making your own schedule, I just couldn't imagine going back somewhere and someone being like, Connor, you're 10 minutes late. Well, I'm going to be 8 hours late in the morning because I'm not coming in. Stick the job up your ass. So it's a good thing that this is working out now.
So your whole build up to having this job now, self-employment, at what point did you actually know? You go, fuck, I could actually make a living out of this. I'm actually all right at this.
I probably, I went full, I'm not a shrewd businessman. I went full time as a comedian 3 weeks before COVID. I had steady employment, which would have paid me right through the pandemic, but I went, fucking all this nonsense about this disease coming out of China, like. And then 2 weeks later it was like, oh, the whole world is shut down, going out your house is illegal, you can't even go to gigs. And I went, I might have made a short front of this here. And I couldn't go back to my old job because they were making everybody redundant anyway, because it was in the service industry and they only needed like a skeleton staff during COVID. So I was like, oh right. So really it was, and then I went back and just did a bunch of like odd jobs during COVID, because we did the occasional fucking gig over Zoom. If this is comedy, I think I'll wait till it comes back, because that was so shite. Just doing gigs to people's laptops. And
a wee bit different, eh? Who's the last in Glasgow, the comedian?
Susie McCabe.
She did one, through that.
It's funny though, we were all doing them. Like, sometimes you jump on like a corporate thing and just see two of your pal and you're like, oh, you've been fucking dragged into this as well.
Just a sad face.
No heckle will ever upset me. Because I tell you what's a fucking heckle is someone when you hit a punchline and someone just leaves the meeting. That's a fucking dullion, that, like. They've decided to go back to COVID.
Everybody's on mute.
Yeah. You see Sandra has left the chat. Fuck you, Sandra. What the hell? Fuck you. All you had to do was sit in your spare bedroom for another 5 minutes, Sandra, but you couldn't hack it.
So from a pivotal point of view, we use fancy words like that. I couldn't spell that. But from people, a sense of people that realise that you're a comedian, realise that you're self-employed and you're pivoted from leaving your job, COVID happening, then trying to figure out how the fuck do I make some rin tin tin and get by.
It was just, and I'm quite lucky, like I did a delivery job and that, and then I got a job working in a guitar shop in Edinburgh just because I play guitar and I knew all the guys, and they were actually like, the shop's shut but we're busier than ever because everyone's ordering online, because everybody just got like government sanctioned free time.
Yep.
So all these people who their whole life had gone, I'd love to learn an instrument. They all sat down and went, oh, well, I've got a year in the house, I can get a guitar. And so like the guitar shop went fucking mental. So we were just working in there, basically in a closed down shop at first.
Right.
But sending out all the online stuff. And then it opened up and I was there for a wee while once it was open again. And like, that's one of those things where it's just a job in a shop, but I'm incredibly thankful. I'm still good mates with all the guys because like I got that job the old school way, which is where they just were like, you're sound, you come into the shop, you like, do you want a job? And I feel really sorry now for people, I know you're not on camera, but people his age and like my nephews and stuff, like, because that doesn't really happen now.
Yep.
Like you've got to go through a CV and a fucking online cover letter and a 100 questionnaire to get a job at fucking Home Bargains now. Like it's insane.
Your eyes are going to be touching and you've got to wear Velcro shoes. You're in. Well, no offence to everybody. You're choose to be offended.
I don't think you can say something offensive and then just say no offence.
No, we can't. This might be one of the ones we don't air.
No, but you know what I mean? I was lucky that I just got in, they knew me and I got in the right time. And then something happened mentally during COVID where I think it was because like before COVID, I was very worried about people liking me in comedy. And also like you got to get along to go along and that kind of stuff. And I was a bit worried material wise. I never wanted to get in any hot water with my material or that. And then during COVID, I think something happened to me where I went, well, I was playing everything safe by the rules and it all got taken away anyway. So my mental thing shifted, and when I came out of COVID, I was like, I'm going to do the material I want to do, which is maybe a bit riskier, but I'm going to start filming everything and putting clips out. And I don't care if that puts anyone's nose out of joint, because there's a bit of a thing sometimes in comedy where it was like, well, you're a bit new to start doing that. And I was like, nah, well, I'm just going to do it.
Break the mold.
Yeah, well, a wee bit, and like, I just came out of it with such a different headspace of like, well, it almost all went to shit anyway. So I may as well just
What's
try and,
the risk?
Yeah.
What's
Ride
the
it
risk?
till the wheels come off and see what happens. And it was as soon as I done that out of COVID, when I started being more honest on stage and started putting the clips out, immediately everything started working. And it's just funny, like sometimes that's what it takes, is just for you to have a bit of forced time off. Or
it's always interesting when you talk, because we look at it from a business perspective, okay? And when Johnny uses the word pivoted, does people sense that air of honesty and transparency when your material is real? Where people sense, if it's not really genuine?
Yeah, 100%. An audience will always know if you're holding something back on stage, and they'll start to lose faith in you.
Yeah.
And also, it's the best reaction you ever get is see when like a kind of fucked up thought comes into your head and you go, I don't know if I can say that. And then you say it on stage, you build up the courage to say it on stage, and you can tell by the reaction, everyone in that audience has at one time also had that fucked up thought, and they thought they were the only person that had ever had it. That thing is the best thing you'll ever get on stage, when you just hear people going, oh my God, I'm not mental, I'm normal. And I thought I was just thinking that in my house myself. Those are the best ones. And it's as soon as I came out of COVID was when I was like, right, I'm sure like every business owner probably does the same thing, I'd imagine. I done that thing where you kind of look at yourself in the mirror and go, chuck everything at this for a year and see where you get at the end of the year, and then we'll make a decision. And thank fuck, at the end of that year, things were going well enough to keep going.
So at what point then, after the year, well, it's obviously one, financially, or two, you're getting traction on Instagram, your Reels, TikTok, all that jazz. Is that what you measure it? Because a lot of businesses measure on how many clients they have, how much money is in the bank, their cash flow, all this. But it's the same idea. It's just a different category of business.
Yeah, I think for every person, every comic, or I hate this phrase, but every content creator, I think the measurements are different, because ultimately, like I know comedians, and I could have twice as many online followers as I have. But it doesn't necessarily convert to ticket sales.
Yeah.
And that was the thing for me. I was like, I don't care if 500,000 people follow me on Instagram. If I can't sell out tickets at the Fringe, what's the point? So like, I needed my fan base to be like fairly localized to the UK. Because like TikTok is amazing, but the problem with TikTok is it's its main asset, but it's also its main problem is that it's so global. So you end up with small pockets of people that like your stuff, but it's so spread out, which you can't really do a tour on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I've got about 65,000 on my TikTok, but that sells way less tickets than my Instagram. Because my Instagram is a bit more localized. It's more just UK.
Right.
So that for me was the big thing. I was like, if none of this generates ticket sales, what's really the point? Because I want people to come and see the show.
So when you're looking at growing, because it's Connor Burns the brand, that's what you're selling, and the comedy is just one aspect of your whole branding thing. But let's just say you want to grow, and you want to grow in areas like Australia or America. How difficult is that? Because people from Edinburgh will understand if your stories are localized. How do you grow in areas like that?
Well, that's the interesting thing, where obviously there's people who've broken that mold. Like there's some guys will just start posting clips, and it, for whatever reason, a mixture of their talent, but also right place, right time, maybe got a good team behind them and stuff. They'll just all of a sudden everything just starts getting millions of views. And then they can go and do a worldwide global tour and stuff. And that happens, but you can't count on that happening, because that's 1 in a million. You know, like, I don't know if there was a guy called Matt Rife who was in the States, and he just started posting crowd work stuff and immediately just got like millions and millions.
Good looking lad.
Aye. Well, I mean, there's the reason. It's also, unfortunately, I'm not quite at the level of looks where I get like women following me just because of the way I look. So I've got that. That's unfortunate. Do you know what I mean? I'm saving up my money. I'm going to get the whole works done. I'm going to fly to Turkey, come back a 9.5 out of 10 and dominate the world, right? But also it was funny as well. Like, you can't count on that happening. Mm-hmm. You've got to just kind of go, right, it's probably going to be a lot slower for me, but it's just perseverance. So I just started slowly but surely building the following. But for that, I've found that, and I find this quite a comforting thing. There's no way around the old school thing, which is the only way I started building a following in Australia was I went to Australia.
So you had to go.
I had to go.
You had to do something.
I had to go because, like, as much as you can try and go, well, I'll post it this time because that's when they're awake, and I'll try and do a story about Australia. So you can do that, but also I don't know anything about Australian culture until I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I started having clips going viral in Australia, it's because I toured there a couple of times and I knew stuff about the culture. Mm-hmm. And people love it when an outsider notices things about them.
Yeah.
And you go, because it's when you catch something that they've never picked up on. Like, so like the first thing I had that went kind of viral over there was about the form you've got to fill in for your visa to get into Australia. And it asks, they want to know if you're a criminal. I went, which is funny because I'm Scottish, that's how we used to get here. I was like, so I didn't know if they wanted me to tick yes or no. I was like, I didn't want them to think I'm a pussy. I don't want them to think I'm a pussy. Put me down for an assault or something, right? So I did this routine and then it's like, it lists all the crimes individually, like fraud, burglary, and then it gets down and this, it was like the 8th or 9th one on the list. I was like, as soon as I saw it, I went, that's funny. I was like, have you ever been convicted of any war crimes, including genocide or slavery? And I went, who are they catching with that? If you're all right with committing genocide, I'm pretty sure you're all right with lying on a like Gaddafi's not sitting there going, he's a fucking got me. So like, I would never have known that if I hadn't flown to
Australia and experienced that.
And it's the same thing with America. Like America's, for me, is still the smallest market, and we're starting to make a bit of headway there now. But the only time I've ever had videos do well in those places is because I've just cottoned on to something as an outsider that you've noticed.
And you've noticed.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, you said team. How important is having the right team behind you? And what does a team look like for you? Because I think a lot of people, they don't understand, they see the picture, you're on stage, great comedy, you're engaging the audience. Yeah. But behind you, what does the team look like for you?
My team's very small, but I think that's good. And that's also just who I am as a person. Like, I still do everything, and I still run my own website, my social media. That's going to change soon because it's like it is just getting a wee bit too much. Mm-hmm. Like I'm touring and everything's going well enough now, but part of that is the reality of being self-employed. And at the beginning, you have to learn how to do that shit yourself because you can't afford to pay somebody to do it. But also now, it's not really that. I could bring someone on. I probably could have brought someone on a year ago, but then you've got that thing of like, as much as it's a lot of work, it's your baby. And you go, I know what I like the clips to look like. I know how I like to edit myself. And it's trying to find the right person to go like, right, I've got to trust you with this. Because what you don't want to do is give all that stuff to someone else and then spend as much time as you were anyway going, oh no, it needs to be like that. It needs to be like that. Because then you're just paying someone and you're still using up all your time. So I'm going to definitely take someone on to start running that stuff because I feel like I've hit the ceiling of my abilities. Totally. And then my agent is great, but again, like I've got a very small kind of boutique agency because like there's a couple of companies where when you're a comedian, everybody goes, I want to get signed by Avalon, or I want to get signed by Off the Curb. These are like the kind of really big ones. Right. But the problem is they've got a really impressive client list, but you're not getting the same agent as Kevin Bridges or Jimmy Carr. You're getting the intern, who like the boss hasn't even learned their name yet. Aye. And you're just getting chucked on all the same shit as everybody else. Like you're getting put on the club circuit. Like I think someone explained it to me, a comedian who's a lot bigger than me explained it to me like this, and it's the way I've always thought about it. He was like, people think that if they get the right agent, then that's it, their career's made. He's like, and it's just not the way the industry works. Like, a great salesman still can't sell shite. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be 80% you, 20% the agent. He went, but unfortunately, there's 20% of the comedy industry that can only be accessed if you've got a good agent.
Right.
And that's the way he described it to me. He was like, so you can do 80, you've got to do 80%, you've still got to do all the work. He's like, but there is just that sometimes that wee industry section that can only be accessed by someone that has the right contacts and has a way in. And that's been my experience, is like, you can't just phone your agent and be like, can you get me on this TV show? And it doesn't fucking work like that.
You know what it is? It comes down to what I think of business, and what you're explaining are all the things. I'm smiling, we're probably laughing because Mike's got several businesses, I've got several businesses, Vickers is the exact same, and we've got teams and we've got staff. So rewinding it back to that is gifting people that information. I need you to go and do this exactly how I want it done. And there's a concern, there's a worry, there's an anxiety.
Totally.
Because it's
representing
everybody's reputation. But forward onto that, is even having an agent. And the question I've always asked, well, I always think that people are asking, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
And that'll be the same with the agent.
Yeah.
You're X, Y, and Z to them. How can they extract their wages off you?
Well, and exactly. And that's the thing is like, that's why I get on really well with my agent. And that's why I think we'll probably work together for the length, for a considerable chunk of my career, because she only has like a small handful of clients. She massively cares about us, like, which is very different. Like, and sometimes we all have a go at her, and we're like, it's 9 o'clock at night, and you're phoning me to ask me to fill something in that could be done tomorrow. But it's just because she's massively on it. And the thing about the economy of comedy is your agent takes, industry standard is 15%.
So do they take 50% of your earnings?
15% of anything that they book for you is what they take. And that's just the industry standard. Now, the reason what I mean is that she cares is that she because if you think about it, if she put me in for a gig in Aberdeen on the Friday and Brighton on the Saturday, it doesn't matter to her. All she's getting is 15% of it. But it's me that's got to go I need to fucking get a train or a plane in the morning. You couldn't get 2 gigs further away. Logistically, you've given me an absolute fucking headache. And a lot of these big agencies, like, they just want the money coming in. So they'll go, it doesn't matter though, but you're making XYZ, which means we get 15% of that.
All about the money.
Because she's a smaller agency, she cares about the human element. So she'll phone and go, we've had these offers in, but it's actually going to be a complete nightmare for you to try and get to and from. So I've figured something else out for you. I've got this. And it's that kind of stuff that makes you want to stay with an agent. Because ultimately, if it doesn't matter to them what you go through, they're just scooping up 15% of it at the end of the month. And she's really good about that. And like for a small 1-woman operation, she's unbelievably well connected. Like, and she always pulls stuff out of the bag where, like, my last tour show was in Kirkcaldy last year. Like, all good things. It must end in 5, right? I've given Fife it tight a wee bit over the years, but I do like it. But it is another fucking planet sometimes. We used to in the guitar shop, actually. I'll tell a story before I get in the guitar shop. We used to have loads of guys that would come in for Fife because the guitar shop actually started off, I think, in Dunfermline.
Kenny's Music.
It wasn't Kenny's, it was Sound Control.
Sound Control, that was it.
And now it's what it is now. And so a lot of boys used to come in from, like, when it was then, back in the day, these old boys from Fife. And there was one guy, and I won't say his name because he's a real guy, and I don't know, like, I'm sure he's a nice enough guy. But he used to come in all the time and just tell, like, completely made up stories, like, about him. I got dragged at the audience and played with guitar with Prince on stage, and I've heard you playing in the shop, mate. And no, you fucking didn't, right? So, and one day he said the most Fife thing I've ever heard in my life, and I called him out on it then and there, and I went, "You fucking, no way that's how you actually speak." And I was like, "What you been up to today, mate?" And he went, "I've been doing the garden, eh?" And he went, "I've got a pal works down in Manchester City Council." And he's managed to get me 2,000 slabs. I went, fuck off, 2,000 slabs.
The County Meat
I
talk.
went, fuck off, man. 2,000 slabs, is that what you're trying to say? I went, second of all, how big's your fucking garden? 2,000 slabs.
It's mixed between County Meath and Aberdeen because he wants a deal. He's got the deal.
Exactly. Oh, no, I don't think he paid full price for any. And I'm like, I got to the point where he just wanted him to get out of the shop. I have it for now. But even then, like, my last tour show was in Kirkcaldy, and she got like this massive agent from an American thing to fly up from London just to come and see my show. And you go, well, that's amazing. Like, I don't think if I was with one of those other ones, I don't think that would have happened. Yeah. And it was just like the fact that she was like, no, I persisted, and I was a bit of a pain in the arse, and I got him to come, and it worked out. And like, the guy really liked me, and we're going to hopefully try and do more work in the States next year. But it's just, you need someone who is willing to have uncomfortable conversations on your behalf. That's what you need in an agent.
Because when you start out, I suppose when you started out, you had to do a lot of that stuff.
And the problem is difficult. when you're talking about yourself, especially Scottish people, we hate bigging ourselves up. We're a naturally pessimistic people. And I love that. Like, but sometimes, like, if you're trying to big yourself up over an email, you're never going to do it the way someone else who actually believes in you is going to do it. Because, you're never going to be like, I'm fucking brilliant and I'm the next Kevin Bridges and I'm the best thing that's happened to comedy in 10 years. Because you go, I sound like the biggest dick in the world. But if you've got someone who actually believes that, who's like business savvy and is willing to do all that stuff on your behalf, it's so much better than just you being like, please, I'm really good. Give me a chance. Of course you're going to say that. But if someone who's respected in the industry goes, this is my client and he's brilliant and he's really good, and that's obviously a lot more valuable. And
that's maybe a segue into people that are connected. Mm-hmm. So the business world, comedy world, you'll be building up your network.
Yeah.
I mean, the old adage saying your net worth is your network.
Yeah.
And all these things.
Yeah. But
you've obviously met a lot of people through your journey, a lot of other comedians that have done maybe quite well for themselves, and all the people that you meet in venues, the stages that you're going to, and again, we'll go into the festival as well.
And I'm a big believer in, and it's funny because I'm starting to get to a point now where new comedians are asking me for advice, and it's like that thing of like, when you hit a certain age and all your mates start having kids and you're like, why are they having kids? And then you realise, it's because actually we're adults. Even though I still feel 16, you're like, we're 30 now and you're supposed to have kids. But it's that thing of whenever a newer guy asks me for advice, I'm like, mate, I'm still fucking flying by the seat of my pants here, figuring it out. But I think the best bit of advice I can give is, especially when you're new, is just say yes and turn up. Mm-hmm. Because that's what's that? I'm going to butcher it, but was it success is where talent and luck meet or something, or hard work and luck meet. And it's that thing of like, you have to be lucky, but also you're never going to be lucky if you just sit in the house and twiddle your thumbs all the time. So like, I've done stuff that was so outside of my comfort zone, but I thought, if I hate it, I only have to do it once. But then some of the best stuff that's happened to me has gone like, fuck it, I'll do that, I'll try that. Mm-hmm. Like, I did a bit of acting. Turns out, I'm not very good at acting. Valuable lesson learned early in my career, but actually I got a lot from it, and I've figured out a wee bit more, and I think I'm better at it now. But some cool stuff came from that, just because I turned up and I met some people at the BBC and got chatting to them, and they went, we think you're really funny. Shite actor, but we think you're funny.
So what you're saying is take the risk. Just say yes to everything.
Turn up, especially early in your career. You're lucky to be in every room when you're new. There comes a point where you have to like learn your value a wee bit and go, actually, there's no point in me doing that. It's not going to advance my career. It's a bit of a misuse of my time that could be done doing something better. But when you're new, you've not got that privilege. You've got to turn up, you go, fuck it. This thing, it's not necessarily paying me any money, but I might just meet someone, or even just meet another comedian who I'll become really good pals with. And then all of a sudden you've now got this person that you can bounce stuff off of when you're writing a new show. It's just, you've got to turn up and just, I'm a naturally cynical person. I'm always like, this is probably going to be a load of shite. But you've got to brush that off sometimes and turn up and like be a bit enthusiastic and just get stuck in, because stuff will come of it.
Just taking action. I mean, so I've met loads of people, a lot of seminars on property back in the day, and the enthusiasm's there and the big plans are there, and they do nothing.
Of course.
They just don't put themselves out there and take a bit of action. And
because that's the hardest bit, really, is it's easy to turn up to, like, as I say, some seminar or something and go, this is going to change my life. But it's that 80-20 thing. Like, you're still in charge of almost all of it. You can pick up wee bits of info for people along the way.
That's right.
And I think that's like the biggest bit of advice I would give any new people is go and do that thing, especially if when you read the offer it makes you shudder and go, oh, like, because like I don't do that many corporates, but like corporate is obviously it's when you perform at like a business awards thing or that, and usually they're fucking hard gigs because they didn't really want comedy. It's everyone there's on a piss up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's maybe the end of the year, bunch of businesses, it's been hard work. And then you're basically going, right, I know you're having a good night, but everyone be quiet for half an hour and listen to me. I'm more interested in all of yous. So give me it. And a lot of the time people go, fuck that. But there's a few that are good, and you turn up to them and then you do well at one. And because it's like a business environment, there's also 100 other people there that run stuff like that. So like the corporates that I do are all from like doing a couple early in my career that went well. Yeah. And then people go, oh, you were really good. Would you come and do this? Would you come and do this? So like that kind of takes care of itself once you start. And you can be as online as you want, but there's something to be said for word of mouth. And
the word of mouth and the face to face. And it's also the awareness that you do not know who's in that room. When you're doing a gig for 200, 300, however many people you're doing, you have no idea what impact you're creating for somebody.
Absolutely.
And then with the comedy value, because you get away with the comedy, you can talk about the dirty truth
100%.
and you can flip it. Especially, I think this comedy is great when you make people feel that little bit uneasy. I mean, whoever sits in the front row, fair play to them.
Oh man, I constantly think that I'm like so lucky that I get to do this as a job, because I hardly ever go and see stuff live. Like, I hardly ever go and watch stuff live. I'm going to more concerts in the last couple of years, but you go, thank fuck there's diehards that come out every weekend. Because I've got a joke in my new show where I'm like, I'm 31 now, and it's happened to me so quickly that, you know, when people go, oh, like Glastonbury was this weekend, people go, oh, don't you have FOMO? So you have FOMO, and I go, what? I've got FOGI, fear of getting invited. See, like when the boys group chat's bubbling up, and they're like, boys, we're planning this. What about Barcelona for next year? I'm always like, please didn't invite me to this, because then I've got to fucking book flights and I've got to get a hotel. It takes so much to get me out of the house now. So much. The planets have got to align to get me out of the fucking house now.
But because you deal with people all the time.
Yeah.
So how do you switch off? Connor, where do you switch off? Or is it 24/7, 365?
Cocaine's great for it.
We'll throw in a disclaimer later.
Have you tried methamphetamine? It really takes your mind off things. Like, good, you become a lot more interested in whether or not the earth is flat after one of them. I actually don't do anything, but switching off for me, my missus has helped me with that a lot. Because even when we were in a place or a time when we were supposed to be switched off, I was constantly, and she's really good at going like, fucking put your phone down. Mm-hmm. You're on it. I just got back off a 3-week holiday, and I started getting the twitch halfway through it and going, oh, there's a good comedy club in this city. Maybe I could get, and she's like, you're on holiday.
Right.
And it was the best thing that could have happened, because then your time off starts to circle around like, maybe I could do a bit of this. And so, for me, it's funny because like a lot of guys hate to admit this, but I love hanging out with my fiance, because like a lot of guys will be like, hanging out with the missus. Well, I picked one that I like. You know what I mean? I don't know.
To your parents.
I don't know if you're aware that you can do that, but if you listen to any group of guys in the pub, it's like they've been forced into a fucking arranged marriage. Like,
Pick one I like.
I actually picked one I don't mind spending time with. It's one of our wee tricks of the trade. We didn't actually fucking hate each other, so like, I love like a wee holiday or something, but she's very good at forcing me to actually make it a holiday and not just staring at the phone and trying to think, what video should I post next and blah, blah, blah. So I like to do that. And other than that, like, switch off time doesn't ever really happen. Like, that's why I think it's good to go, these 3 weeks, they're in the diary. My agent can't book anything in, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I get the most time. Yep. And we can only really do that once a year in terms of a big holiday, just because our schedules are so busy. But the other thing we always try and do is, if it just comes up and go, oh, here, I've got nothing in the diary next weekend. Should I try and fill it? And she'll go, well, actually, I can get off work early on the Friday. And then that's the kind of thing we'll go, why don't we just piss up north? Rent a cabin somewhere up in the Highlands for a couple of days. And like, so we do that stuff a lot. But other than that, downtime doesn't really exist for me. Like, I love to work. I'm like, I think I owe it to my fans. Like, I'm the luckiest person in the world. I'm one of the like 1% of people that gets to do a job that doesn't make them fucking suicidal. Do you know what I mean? I wake up every day excited. I go, what am I going to do today? What am I going to try? And I think you owe it to people that don't get to live that lifestyle to actually work hard. I think it'd be shite if you were that lucky and then you ended up frittering it away because you're a lazy bastard. So if I can work, I'm doing something.
I remember rewinding back. I remember seeing you whenever it was 7-8 years, a networking event. It was actually Ross Harley. So you need to come and see this guy. He's funny. I'll be the judge of that.
That's so Scottish.
Aye. No, I'll tell you.
I think you're a funny cunt,
no, it was actually, you were very good. It was at the festival time. And it was when Ross says, this is a guy you need to keep an eye on. He's going to do really, really well for himself. But fair enough. And I think
2-3 years you've exploded,
Well, it's been more than that, to be fair. It's been, is that
5 years?
5 years. Yeah. So well done to you, man. And there's the fact that you're keeping going at it and you're enjoying it.
Well, and you know, I'm in a nice position because like I needed comedy to work because I didn't really have. I'm semi-trained as an electrical engineer, but again, I kind of just farted about doing that as well.
Mate.
Aye, exactly. I plugged you. But it's one of those things where although I could have maybe spent a year or something and finished my training on that, I didn't want to. There's no desire to do that. I wanted to do something with people and I wanted to perform. I was in bands and that when I was younger, but you soon get sick of that shite when there's 4 other egos in the band. And then comedy's great because it's just me and I am the only ego, which is great. But I'm in that kind of position where comedy needed to work. So I lit like such a fire under my arse. As I say, that year where I went like, no half arse in this. I need to make this work. And that's when I was just driving to gigs. Sometimes you added up the logistics and going, but after I drove to that gig and paid for a hotel, I made no money. But that comedy club has now seen me. I had a really good gig and I've got 8 weekends with him in the next year now. So it's like that thing of like, sometimes put your ego to one side. You might make no money. It might cost you money to go and do a gig. But if you feel like it's worth your time and it might open a door, you have to just fucking go and do it.
Brand lifetime value. So you're investing now with greater future returns.
100%. And that's the way the whole comedy industry works. Like the first couple of years, you're making nothing. Anything you do make is just going towards covering your costs. And I know I had people who looked at me in the first couple of years and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Driving to Inverness to do a gig that's paying 50 quid when it was costing you 60 quid in diesel. Why the fuck would you do that? And you go, oh, because that guy runs 8 other gigs. So if it goes well, I'll get booked for that festival that he books and blah, blah, blah. And that's just how the industry works. And you do that every city. It takes you maybe 3 years to start covering the UK. But then now it gets to a place where this is before you're even touring, where you go, you're just doing the comedy clubs, the weekend circuit. But now you know all the promoters in the UK, you know everybody. So you go, right, I've got Comedy Store in Manchester booked in for that weekend. That's maybe for the whole weekend, that's maybe XYZ amount. But I know this guy who runs another cracking wee gig in Manchester. So you message him and go, by the way, I'm going to be in Manchester this week. And he goes, great, come and double up. So you get off stage at that gig, go around the corner and go do his gig. Now, just from the networking aspect of like doing that shite gig for him 4 years ago, just so you could turn up and he saw you. Now you've just turned that one weekend into double the fee. Mm-hmm. And if you do that for 52 weeks of the year, you go from eking out a living to actually being able to survive on quite a nice livable wage. Mm-hmm. And it's just purely from that thing of like, I've seen you before, I trust you, I know you're a good comedian. Aye, perfect. If you're going to be in that city that weekend, come and do my gig as well. And that's how, before you start touring, where it's your own fans, that's how you can turn it from like scraping by into an actual living. And it's networking, it's being funny, and it's the massive one, not being a complete cunt.
Yeah, that's the same.
Because you can be a comedian who's funnier than you, but if they're a nightmare to work with, you'll get booked over them.
Yeah.
Aye.
Luckily, there's not many comedians who are funnier than me, but I'm fucking brilliant. But no, but you know what I mean? Like, there's that thing of like, if a person has two options, and they go, that guy's maybe a wee bit funnier, but last time he was here, he was a bellend, made all these demands backstage. You go, well, that guy's almost as funny, but sound. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing as well. Just don't be a bellend. Turn up on time. Be nice to the staff at the venue. You'd be amazed how far that goes as well.
Sure. I was just laughing because we've got Dylan in the background who's not on camera because he's not filled out paperwork.
Mate, if we were in the States, he'd be getting sent to El Salvador.
But all the things that you're saying, the value, turning up on time, which is early, we've been teaching them these things. Yeah. It doesn't require a degree, it just requires a level of vision, just seeing what's happening in front of you and having that drive. And that.
I'll be honest, when I first came in, I thought this was maybe a grooming gang, but if you're blink 3 times if you're all right, by the way. If you need me to phone somebody, I can phone somebody. I've got 3 guys in a soundproof room with a young boy in there. People are going to start talking. Fuck's sake. Aye, nah, man. I wish I had someone earlier in my life to help, but then also I go, maybe that's important because I started comedy when I was 23, which is still really young, but loads of people get into it when they're 17, 18, and then 10 years down the line, they realise they've got fuck all to talk about because they didn't have any life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked like loads of shit jobs, got myself into wee bits of bother here and there as you do when you're in your early 20s, but I'm so glad I did because now I can relate to a working class audience. Mm-hmm. I mean, whereas if I'd just been successful really fast, I wouldn't know what it's like to have a shite job. I wouldn't know what it's like to be skint for years and just try and make ends meet. And that's the shit that you have to live through to find funny in it.
It's like Billy Connolly,
100%.
Stuff. All come from docs and his early,
and it's the most, and it's now, and there's an influx. There's a massive disconnect in comedy right now between what's actually happening live and what we're kind of being spoon-fed on TV. Yep. And I think it's an unpopular thing to say for a comedian, but I'm just being honest. I think a lot of TV comedy at the minute is quite shite. And it's because it's like the only people they want to put on TV are the people who are going to like stay between the lines and not say anything too uncomfortable. Yeah. And like, it's all kind of like, we've spent the last decade like massively over rewarding mediocrity. And you look back at all the comedians who are not mediocre but are great, the ones we remember, the thing that they all have is that people go, fuck, I can't believe they said that on stage. Mm-hmm. Like Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly was, in his early career, was like constantly getting followed around by the church because they thought like his stuff about the Bible and that was disgusting and he should be arrested. And like, then you look at, I love a lot of like American comedy as well, like Richard Pryor. Yeah. Like he was, but people were like, you can't be that dirty. You can't talk about, like Richard Pryor grew up, his mum was a madam in a fucking brothel. Like he lived a life that not many people get to live. Of course he's going to talk about the darker side of life. And that's the people that like, and stuff like, I just think like all the people that lived outside of the lines a wee bit are the ones that we remember. And I just think that that's happening in the clubs. If you go and watch it, there's real working class people telling really funny stories, but it's not really reflected in TV at the minute. I think we're seeing a lot of people with fucking double-barreled surnames and
Crawford and Giles.
And the problem is, like, they can, at that, it's the root of, like, we make fun of the arts a lot, working class people. Oh, fucking hoity-toity shite, waste of your time and all that. But the truth of the matter is, I don't think I would have been able to get in my economic bracket any other way than in the arts. I think if I hadn't done that, I would have probably just worked a job and then every 5 years maybe had a wee salary upgrade and maybe been able to live a fairly comfortable life. But like, I would never have been able to have like the potential to earn as much as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. And that's what like the arts has given me, is like I'm earning all right money now, but I've got the possibility that in 10 years it might be like unbelievable money. And I wouldn't have had that capability. And that's the difference, is the reason we're seeing so much like middle class hoity-toity shite on the telly is because these people come from families where they can afford to chase something for 2 or 3 years making no money because mum and dad can foot the bill. And a lot of working class kids can't do that. Like, I couldn't have had 3 years where I was earning nothing. I couldn't have done that. Someone's got to pay the rent. So I always had to work part-time in that along comedy. And I think like we've got to try and figure out a way, because what stand-up is the working class art form.
Yeah.
And it's, if you watch TV at the minute, it doesn't feel like that. We're seeing a lot of folk like, it's
the same people. It's the same people.
And it's a lot of like, honestly, kind of self-indulgent stuff where you go, this doesn't really feel like comedy for an audience. It feels like they're just trying to make each other laugh.
Yeah.
And it's like that wee kind of cliquey group of TV comedians that just keep recycled on everything. Yeah. And you go, man, if you go to the clubs, there's comedians all over the country that are fucking 10 times funnier.
Aye.
And it's just because, I don't know, their face doesn't fit on TV or something.
Commercialised as well. You look at back in the days when you enjoyed playing the band circuit, like I did that as well in a few years, but the grotty boozer, with sticky floors and the leads that weren't working properly.
It's where the best stuff happens.
The best shit happens.
It's where the best shit happens.
The real people are there.
Aye.
And that's it.
And it's actual fans that are in the audience as well. But also, it's just that thing of like, social media has been the great leveler, because every comedian that's doing well on social media is actually funny because there's no hiding.
Yeah.
Whereas like, it's easy if you just done all the panel shows, people know you as that guy, and then you can actually hide that you're quite a mediocre stand-up. Like, I'm not like trying to start, and he's a lot more fucking successful than I am, but I'm not like trying to be like, oh, but like, for example, like a Jack
Whitehall.
Jack Whitehall. I don't think I'm being a bitch, like being bitchy to say, I don't think Jack Whitehall is a particularly good stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of people that would agree with me on that. Mm-hmm. But he's forged a career being like just on panel shows and good like that. And that's fine. That's a different career. And now he's kind of gone into acting and presenting stuff more than comedy, which I think was probably what he always wanted to do. I think for him, comedy was a bit of a vehicle to get to that. Whereas if you're just relying on clips of you doing stand-up, the stand-up's got to be good. Mm-hmm. So like, all the guys that are doing well on social media are just like meat and potatoes stand-ups. And it's great. It's given a lot of us that thing of like, I don't need to impress a commissioner at a TV station now. Mm-hmm. Or I don't need to have like a unique selling point. Or, you know, I don't need to tick a box or anything like that. I can just be myself, and there's my stand-up, and it goes straight to the people buying the tickets.
There's one comedian that I have no idea why they're on the side. And it's not a case, I mean, opinions are like belly buttons.
Yeah.
Right? Russell Brand. Oh, he's too articulated, and I can't follow. It's like watching Dawson's Creek back
I don't know if you've been watching the news, mate, but he's had a rough couple of years. But I don't think you're going to have to worry about seeing him live for a while.
Has he been convicted?
I think he's been charged. But you know, Russell Brand done something really fucking clever, which is he knew that was coming because he knew what he'd fucking done. And he knew that it had been bubbling up for years and years and years. And what he did over the last few years was he he made a fan base of conspiracy theorists. So, like, I don't know if you were aware of his online presence before that came out. He was just doing these podcasts where he was talking about, like, how everything's a conspiracy and the government is going to come after you and blah, blah, blah. So when all that broke, his diehard fans went, see, he was right. The government's trying to bring him down a peg. And you're like, well, I don't think that's what it is. I think
so
what it
is there an institution where in the comedy everybody knows?
Of course, like, but that was spoken about for years. Right, and there's a few other people, and by the way, there's a few other people who I've heard rumblings about over the years, and it's starting to come to fruition a bit now. But people go, well, why don't you speak up? I mean, because have you ever heard of like a litigious lawsuit of like where if you say something, it's true though.
Yeah,
you can get a civil case for saying, oh, this person's a fucking sexual harasser.
Yeah, so it's libel. It's called libel.
Libel, exactly.
They sue you for that.
Can you not throw that in your comedy though? And that can you?
Yeah, you can, but you still have to spend money.
Yeah.
So you make a statement, and it might be the truth, it might not be the truth. But they can sue you, they can tie you up, and all it does is drain your money because you now have to defend your reputation.
Of course. And so that's how they get away with it for so long. Because it happened with Brand, and people go, well, if everyone was talking about it for years, and you go, yeah, because like most of us have never had any proof. It was just what you heard. And if you pop your head above the parapet and go, I'm accusing this guy of sexual harassment or whatever.
Harvey Weinstein,
that's the reason he got away with it for years, because unless you've got hardcore proof, that's just hearsay. And he's got the means to tie you up in court for fucking years because he's got the weight of this big Hollywood thing behind him. So like, that's how those type of guys get away with it for so long, is because unless there's hardcore proof, they can just tie you up in a libel suit for years. And it's also why the Savile stuff only came out after he died.
Yeah.
Because he was paying like thousands of pounds for press injunctions. He was actually paying legal firms, to keep the press from releasing stories about him until he died. And then that's when it all came out. And it's because, like, for a lot of people, you can't speak out about those folk because you're just going to get tied up in a big fucking legal battle. But anyway, we'll keep it light.
I thought he was going to get you. Fix my car, I'm just saying this.
He fixed my car, and then he made me smell this rag, and then woke up and
just went downhill from there.
Oh god!
But that's like an insight, I guess, into how. Because like, I know people get angry at folk for saying, well, if you all knew about it, but that's the reason why it never comes out until it does. But he's another one where you go, for whatever reason, he was just picked to be one of the industry's darlings. Mm-hmm. And like, this guy's weird and women want to shag him and he looks fucking odd and he dresses like funny. He's marketable. That was the thing, was he was marketable. Because like, not to you or me or like you never hear guys on a building site say, fucking that Russell Brand guy's funny, eh? But that doesn't matter. That's not who they were selling them to. They were selling them to like people, like young professionals and stuff like that. The arty crowd. And what they never realised was, like, if you ever listen to his comedy, it was just knob gags. It was just jokes about shagging. But if you change the package, people all of a sudden go, oh, he's so like arty and articulate. And you're like, but he's been talking about getting a blowjob for 15 minutes.
Right.
It's just that if that was a guy in a Stone Island jumper, you go, oh, it's blokey. The comedy's too blokey. But because it's a guy in fucking cowboy boots and long hair, you go, oh, he's actually kind of like breaking down the stereotypes. No, he's talking about getting a fucking blowjob. Like, and it's funny, like, if you just change the package, you can sell that shit to people that would never usually listen to
That's
it.
what they do in X Factor. That's what they do. It's all selling a certain box.
Yeah, and it's like, you hear this thing about like, there's bands who like their number one big hit song was released like 7 times before it went to number one. And then you go, well, that's weird. Like, they released it once a year for 7 years. Like, the one was Here I Go Again by Whitesnake is one of those where there was like 10 different releases and it never ever charted. And then they got the like look of the band right. with the big hair and the leather and all that. And then they released the song again and it went to number 1.
Good band, Whitesnake.
It's great. Yeah. And it's funny though, but that's the thing. Sometimes it's you've got to get the whole package right.
Yeah. So sometimes you only see a small part. And I think when people look at comedians, they only see a small part. Exactly. They don't see the whole picture.
Yeah. And it's like, I've got to think about that as well. Because my comedian is very my comedies is very everyman. So if I came out dressed as Russell Brand, people would go, what? Like, that doesn't match. There's something not right here. And I think and then it would make people, I don't know, it'd make people like me less. Yeah. He's like, who's this cunt think he is?
So what is your brand then? If I ask such a strange question,
I think it's took me a long time to figure out. I think my brand comedically is, I say a lot of like quite risky shit. But for me, it's always got to land on the side of cheeky. And it took me a long time to figure that out. But if I go over that line, very quickly people go, oh, he actually just sounds like a bit of a cunt. Mm-hmm. But so if I've got a topic like that's a bit, like I had a joke in my last tour about trans people. And you sit down and that's one of those topics that it's a hot potato. But I knew that any punchline in that bit, it had to land on the side of like, oh, he's been a bit cheeky. Because I actually don't want to like upset anybody. I didn't go on stage and go, I want somebody to leave this in tears tonight. There's comedians who do that and that's fine. But that was what unlocked a lot for me. My brand is to be, if I'm dealing with one of these like big scary topics, the punchline can push people a wee bit, but it needs to land on that side of like, I need to make a fifth. I call it the anti-test. I go, would an auntie laugh at this joke? And if the answer is no, maybe it's too dirty and too harsh. Because like you know, it's like your aunties are the ones who'll go, oh no, that's not in good taste. No, you shouldn't joke about something like that. That's disgusting.
You've not met my auntie.
But then your auntie after a couple of wines.
That's when you taste
That's when you go like, if you test it and she goes, oh, I shouldn't laugh, but that's what I want. I shouldn't laugh, but that's brilliant. And I like that for me. That's sometimes the test. So like when you handle a bit, that was if I had to pick a brand, I had to say like, I'm not a family entertainer. Mm-hmm. But I'm also no like Frankie Boyle. I've got no interest in just going up there and trying to say the most shocking thing I can possibly say. I want it to be like, fuck, that was funny. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't really laugh at that, but that was really funny.
I think a lot of people buy that authenticity that you bring to it, that real, because it's real. Because you said in the beginning, you said, everybody's had that thought and they think, shit, it's maybe not funny, but you've actually verbalized what lots of people are thinking.
Yeah. Like same like, and I'm lucky as well. Like I've actually got a pal in comedy who is trans, and I always kind of go like, and she's like a very good laugh. You know, well, of course she used to be a guy, so doesn't take herself too seriously. And and it's that kind of thing where I run it by her and I go like, I've had this stupid thing I've thought about like trans people, and I go, do you think that's funny? And genuinely, if she was like, it makes me laugh, but she's like, I think you'll run into a bit of trouble, I usually will go like, right, back to the drawing board. It's not like I'm not going to say it, but I need the skill in comedy, and I don't believe in all this shit either. I'd be like, you can't say anything these days. You've never been able to really say anything on stage. The skill in comedy has been figuring out how to say it without actually saying it. So I think that's the skill in stand-up.
You're absolutely correct. I don't know if so Ricky Gervais, I saw a clip of him the other day, and he says it's all about context. It's how you frame it. And he talks about a China man, because you're not allowed to say it. Yeah. But he goes, hold on, the guy's from China and he's a man. Yeah. What am I doing wrong here? Yeah. And I think,
and it's exactly that. And it's like you can talk about any subject.
Yeah.
But I think what's changed is this, like the idea of woke, and it does annoy me sometimes. And you see these people with fucking pink hair gluing themselves to stuff, and the world needs to change. And then you turn on Glastonbury and everyone's waving a fucking flag of whatever they believe, and you go, right, that's fine. But a lot of it's tokenistic shite.
Yeah.
And you go like, if you really wanted to change it, you'd probably just quietly send money to a charity or something. But that doesn't get you clicks on Facebook and
that
Instagram.
doesn't get you noticed.
And I'm of the opinion that I hate the idea that there's left-wing comedians and right-wing comedians. I think the job of comedian is that you float above all of it and go, yous are all fucking idiots. That to me is the job of a comedian, is you go, there's just as many fannies on the right as there is on the left. And actually it's for me, it's a loop. Because if you go far enough left, you pop back up on the right. It's true. You go far enough left in it, and then you go like, yous are arguing about the same stuff that the people on the far right are arguing about. And then you go, you got the left wing people out on protests, and like then it erupts into violence. And then you've got the right wing people out on protests, and then you go, maybe yous are just all fannies, and that 90% of us live in somewhere in the middle, which is where logic and rationality lives. But unfortunately, that doesn't generate clicks or get people watching stuff. And it's actually more entertaining to have some pink-haired fucking pronoun nightmare who comes on and goes, I think we should be giving babies hormone injections, and have them debate a guy who thinks that like black people should all be locked up, and you go, well, those two people are never going to meet in the middle about anything. You're just trying to make like this sensational interview that goes, oh, do you see that thing when it was like the right wing guy that thinks women shouldn't be allowed to fart without asking their husband? And then this like left wing woman who thinks that we should be giving fucking sex changes to babies as soon as they're born. You go, well, obviously that's the most extreme versions of those people. And I think that's the reason why there's so much fucking back and forth.
There's a comedy sketch where one of the guys, I can't remember who it was, he said back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, stupid people never got a voice.
Aye.
They got put in the cupboard. Just don't, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Stay away. You're stupid.
There's an online community for everything now.
Well,
everyone has a place now. Like I've got a bit that I'm working on in my new show where I go like, I feel sorry for like just old school gay people, because like they lived through the AIDS pandemic. They lived through a time where it was literally illegal for them to get married and love each other, and they've lived through all this stigma. And now they've got like the gay pride parade where they get to say, look how far we've come. And then at the end of the gay pride parade, you've got fucking furries who are dressed up as dogs and that. And you go, and if I'm just an old school gay guy, I'm going, any chance you can fucking do your own parade, because we've fought really hard for all these rights, and now you're coming along and fucking pissing on a lamppost behind us. Like, I just don't think that that's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that just like, and I'm sure there's loads of gay people that feel the same way, where you go like, can you actually just let us have our thing?
Can a furry get done for peeing in the street?
Probably. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? That's the scariest shit ever. Is like you're like bringing, like, your son comes home for uni or something, and he's like, "Oh, that's my boyfriend, Rover." Picking up his shite and that. Like.
So, Connor, what does the future look like for you?
After this podcast, probably back to her day job, I think. But it's.
Have you got a busy touring schedule?
Yeah, crazy busy. So at the minute, I'm still finishing and getting the new Fringe show ready. So I'm just out at all the open mics, and that's what I love about comedy. You get this show perfect, you tour it, there's not an ounce of fat on it, and then you go, right, that's that show done, time to get back to boot camp, and you're just back in pubs doing it all over from the start again.
Can I ask you a quick question? How difficult is it during the Fringe? Because we're going to talk a little bit about your Fringe. How difficult is it during the Fringe? Because you're on every day, and you might have a day or two break, but to deliver the same content to a different audience.
Well, no, that's the best part about the Fringe for me, is because I use the Fringe as new show boot camp.
Okay.
Because like you have a show, the second I step off stage, I get like a notepad or a notes on my phones. The second I come off stage, I go side the stage and go, like tonight's show, 7.5 out of 10. And then I go, that bit didn't work. That bit worked better than I expected. They reacted weird when I said that. Maybe I need to change that. And then the best thing is you've only got 24 hours. You wake up the next day and you go, right, I've got another swing at this. Come straight off stage the second night. I was right about that bit. That was good. Oh, actually, I did a weird face when I said this bit last night and it got the best reaction it's ever had. Maybe I need to make it more physical, whatever. And you get to do that every day for 24, 25 days. So by the end of the Fringe, the show is fucking...
absolutely perfect, phenomenal.
It's
we'll
like...
book a show at the end of the Fringe.
We'll go on the
You might be a little bit tired.
I can say that now because the first few, like the first 10 shows are all sold out. So fucking, if you're watching, it's unlucky. But that's the other thing. I make sure the show, I hit the ground running. Like I preview the show really heavily. Because now that it's a nice problem to have, but now that I've got a fan base, people come and see the show from day one, and I'm not going to fuck them about and come out with notes and shit. So I make sure the show's ready, but it's just the fact of life. If you do something 30 times in a month, it's going to be better than it was at the start of the month.
I think what it does show you is, if you took this from a business perspective, is you've got constant iterations. You're not scared to change, and you recognize, you look and you go, this didn't work, this worked. And I think it gives... the listeners will see it's a very different insight into your world, because I don't think people understand that at the end of the show, it's a career, and you constantly have to evaluate yourself, and you have to be really critical.
And again, I think I'm lucky that I'm from a working class background, because I do have a good work ethic, and I know a lot of like artistic people who are quite lazy and just go, well, I've written the show, so that's the show. But for me, as well as like, you're not really supposed to say this as a working class Scottish person, because like, as I say, we are a naturally pessimistic people, but like I want to be great. Like I want to be a great comedian. I want people to look back at my career and go, he was really fucking funny. Like he was phenomenal. And like I think I owe it to people, because I think it's like, I'm so lucky to have this job. Why would I not use the tiny finite amount of time you've got on this planet to try and be the absolute best version of that comedian I can possibly be? So as soon as I come off stage, I go, the show can be better. And you go like, and it's also important. My fiance's amazing at this as well. A lot of people, when you come off stage after a 7 out of 10 gig, will go, oh my God, amazing. That was good. She'll come out and go, that wasn't your best. And I go, aye, I know, you're
Thanks,
right.
pal.
You're right. And she'll go, that bit was weird. She's also good as well, because she's like, a fairly, she's not fucking too young, but she's I'm not like you guys. You know what I mean? She's a young female professional in like a really impressive work environment. So she's a great litmus test as well for any time I speak about women on stage.
Right.
Yeah. She's really good at going, I know you, so I know what you meant, but people in the audience don't know you as well as I know you, and it came across a wee bit cunty, or it came across like a wee bit like sexist. And she's really good at that and going, I watch it back and it sounds like I'm saying this when I really meant that. So she's really good at catching that stuff as well, because she's like, it's important. She's like, you want the female fan base to like you as well. She's like, because she's like, as a female comedy fan, she's like, it's really disappointing when you like a comedian and then all of a sudden he says something like super ignorant. And I went, no, I get that. Like that would put your nose out of joint. And I've experienced it. Like sometimes you've got to remember, like, even as a comedian, we all have stuff that makes us a wee bit offended sometimes. Like I would say that there's nothing that could really offend me. And I mean that. But still, if you really like a celebrity and then, you know what I mean? Like they do something. Then they pop up in the thing and go, Scotland's a fucking shithole, isn't it? It does make you view them a bit differently. Aye. Like you go, I'm not really offended, but you go like, what was the need in that? There wasn't really a joke there. It was
the context.
Aye. And so I get it. So she's really good at that. She keeps me right in terms of like, I know what you're talking about. Like if I'm doing a bit about my relationship, but she's like, the way you said it made you come across as a bit of a dick. And I go, right, good. I need to fix that. So we that's how I work the Fringe. It's just boot camp. Like every night, come off, assess the show, what could be better, and then the next night you put it into practice and you go, all right, that worked, or it never worked, and it just naturally grows arms and legs like that. And then by the end of the Fringe, it's ready to go on tour.
Okay.
I've got 2 questions. Do we have an Allen key for that seat?
Sorry.
Is it you?
That's not the seat. That's not the seat, that's me.
What you got in your pockets? And then, how important has Edinburgh comedy scene, the festival, been to your career?
Huge. Massive. And I think I'm in that group of people that, a lot of Scottish people, where I didn't really appreciate the Fringe before I was a comedian. Like, I had that thing of, like, for me, the Fringe was just that month where traffic's a fucking nightmare. And
no parking.
I'm trying to urge more working class people to, and I know it's hard, like, it's no the super cheap night out that it used to be, the Fringe, because you used to be able to just get a bus up and go and see free shows, and one would be good, one would be shite, but that's part of the fun of the Fringe. Like, it's getting a wee bit harder now. Like, Edinburgh's just an expensive city and that, but I urge you to go and see some stuff. Because, like, now that I know how the nuts and bolts of the Fringe works, it's mental. Like, there's comedians who come over from the States who are, like, stars. Like, I know a couple of guys who are, like, they're on massive sitcoms in the UK and they're making, like, crazy money and they've got massive followings. But just to come and do it, they'll come over and do, like, 150-seater venue at the Fringe. And you go, like, that's like a very unique opportunity to see somebody who you might have to see in a massive theatre or even an arena, and they're coming over just to, like, get the experience of what an Edinburgh Fringe is like. And it's like, it's mental. Like, Edinburgh's a tiny city, it's 500,000 people, but we've got the biggest arts festival in the world. The population triples in August for the city. And it's like, it's mad that you've got a month where if you wanted to, you could see a Chinese circus act, an African dance troupe, a Canadian comedian, all in the space of one day.
Aye.
And I don't think we realise how lucky we are that we've got all that. So I urge people, and also I'm like, also go and take a risk. Go and see the guy who's in a tent, like in a 40-seater tent outside a pub, who's asking you, please come and see my show.
Aye.
Go and see it, because, by the way, 6 years ago, that's me.
Yes.
I was performing in a 40-seater tent, going, just asking people to come.
Down at the very bottom of the Royal Mile, I think it was. Was it the bottom of the Royal Mile?
Aye, bar 50.
Down there.
Aye.
And it was late at night, I think.
Aye.
10 o'clock at night
and it was shite, because, like, it was in the middle of a beer garden, so the beer garden was just around this tent. So you're just in the middle of a noisy beer garden. But that's the kind of thing where you go and see it, because, like, that... Ultimately, if no one had taken a risk and came to see me in that tent, I might have gone, like, well, the Fringe was a massive washout. Nobody came to see the show. What's the fucking point? And I might have stopped. And thank God I never. So, like, I also, if you go in a show and it's shite, just leave. It's awkward in that.
It's an hour of your time.
It's an hour of your time. And all of the time they're free shows. You know what I mean? Like,
you can still leave with your shit off the pap.
Aye, exactly. Aye.
Quietly under your jacket.
Yeah, exactly. And so go and just take a risk, because for every shite show you go and see, you might stumble on something and go, oh, we've caught somebody before they get big. And that's a cool thing about the Fringe, you know what I mean?
So you've got the Fringe. Sorry, Mike, you got a question. So you've got the festival, then I've seen that you're playing in the Urtun, as we say, Carnegie Hall.
I know.
There you go.
It's not the Carnegie Hall.
What's it called now?
No, I mean, it's not the Carnegie Hall that you necessarily dream of playing. I'm playing Carnegie Hall, Dunfermline. Not New York. Nah, it's I'm buzzing. Like, it's finally got to the stage now where I've got a big enough following that you can start to fill in the gaps between the big cities. Because, like, a couple years ago, I could do Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, maybe throw a Dundee in there, but then I didn't have a big enough following to put ones on in between, because then they start to eat away from those ones.
Aye.
Whereas now it's like, oh, I'm quite comfortable. We can sell enough tickets, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen, that actually we can start filling in some of the dots. And, you know, we'll do Kirkcaldy, we'll do Dunfermline, we'll do Paisley, we'll do, and that's great, because honestly, a lot of the time those shows are like the most fun, because something happens when people are extra grateful that they didn't have to drive into Edinburgh. Like, I've been on tour with bigger comedians as well, and often the most fun you have are on these wee in-between towns, because it's like you'll be down south in the middle of, you know, something upon something that you've never heard of before, and you go, they've got a 500-seat theatre in the town, and you go, I've never fucking heard of this place before, and the gig's always like 10 out of 10 because everyone's like, oh, thank fuck we didn't have to get a train into London and book a hotel. So it's like those gigs are great. So I'm excited about the tour this year to go to like a few of the places that aren't like just the major cities. Not that Dunfermline, you know what I mean? Culturally.
Watch what you're saying here. This is like the comedians in
It's
Scotland.
apparently a city now. So
is it really?
Yeah,
It's Dunfermline a city now.
Fucking
Fucking hell, they've lowered the bar now.
So on the Fringe, where can people see you?
I'm on Just the Tonic Nucleus, which is the church just up for the Pleasance.
Right,
but if you put in Just the Tonic Nucleus, you'll put that. I've been there for the last 3 years.
I've seen you.
And it's a great venue, nice size. It's about 300 capacity.
What he doesn't know, because he's done this long, he ripped the absolute hole out of me because I came in late. Because you all came in.
Really?
And I was like, where am I sitting? And you specifically left the front for me. I went, you fucking wankers, right at the front.
Yeah, I got, after the Fringe last year, I thought it was Billy Big Time. I thought I got recognised. Like, I was out for a jog and a black cab driver pulled up. Well, he was white.
Funny though.
I mean, it wasn't an Uber, but so, black cab driver pulls up and he goes, hey, and I had headphones on and I was waiting to cross the road. So you know that stupid thing that you do when you're like, you want to look like you're like, I'm still going to do something, I'm jogging. Right, and then he was like, hey, and so I took my headphone off. I went, all right, and he went, Connor Burns. And I was like, fucking Billy Big Time, eh? Can't even go out for a jog without the fans following me around. And I went, aye, mate. And he went, aye, the comedian, aye? And I went, aye. And then he went, aye. And he went, the light was red. It was a red man. He went, just go, mate. He was the only car there. He went, just go. And I stepped out in front of it and he blasted the horn and I shat myself. And I went, hey, what the fuck was that for? And he burst out laughing. And I went, hey, what was that about? And he went, nah, he was like, actually go. So then I started crossing and then he like stuck his head at the window at the other side. He went, that's for calling me a cunt last year at the Fringe. I went, man, I got brought down a peg so fast. I thought, another adoring fan. And I was like, the boys absolutely stitched me up a fucking kipper.
There's nothing worse when someone...
I made the bitchiest wee noise as well when he... I wish I could take it back. I literally went, I went, for the rest of my career, even if I play the hydro, that boy will be outside in his taxi waiting to pick someone up going, I had that cunt on toast.
Just be aware of anybody ever saying, can we get a photo? And then they hand you the camera.
The worst one. Again, last year at the Fringe. Did you come to see me in that venue, the church venue? Yeah. You got to go downstairs to the wee bar.
Yeah.
Well, it was after my show, in my own defence. So it was my own audience that were there. Right. I'm just building a bit of context as to how this happened. So everyone in the bar had just come out of my show, in my defence. So I was standing there near the bar and this lassie came up to me with her phone like that. So I went, aye, no bother. Like, and I put my arm around her for a picture. Turned round, she was fucking leaning over to tap to pay for the round at the bar. I've never seen something more awkward in my life because I've now forced her into taking a picture that she... So she's like, she paid tapped. We both heard the ding, the reality set in and what she was actually doing. And then she just like fumbled about with her phone to be like, all right, aye. Took this selfie and I was like, she now thinks that I hang about after my shows and force people to take selfies with me. Devastating.
It's brilliant, eh? Right away, there's comedy gold in that as well. Just the trials and tribulations and the trip-ups.
I'm at an interesting part of my career where in Scotland, a lot of people are recognising me, but they don't know why. And
that guy looks famous.
Here's a message to anyone. I love it. It's really cool when people go, oh my God, you're the comedian off Instagram. See if you don't know why you recognise me. Please don't guess. Because what you've done there is we're standing there. You're going, I don't want to be a cunt and go like, I'm that comedian that you've maybe seen on Instagram. And now I've just got to wait for you to guess. And I've had some fucking howlers. I had a boy in Glasgow who went, wait a minute. "You're fucking funny, mate. You're well funny." And I went, "Oh, cheers, pal." And he went, "Methadone Mick, eh?" Nah, mate, that's not me. Nah, I'm not Methadone Mick.
Oh, brilliant. I love that.
So I get a lot of, and especially in Scotland, I get a lot of like, "Oh, you're that cunt off of TikTok." And I'm like, can we specify? Because everybody else round about doesn't know if I'm a comedian or if you saw me on a fucking pedo hunter video or something. I'm a comedian, everybody. Settle down.
So, if I don't know if, well, there's one question I've got before we hopefully wrap it up. What are you expecting for the next 3 years, 5 years of career then?
For me,
you're obviously going places, yeah.
It's like just a day at a time, really. Like I've got plans. I've got stuff that I've got in mind. Like for me, comedy has always been stand-up comedy has always been the end destination. Like I don't care if I never get the chance to be in a film or anything like that.
But secretly, you do want to be in a film.
Well, but that's the thing. Like that doesn't mean if in 5 years' time, if like some cool offer came and I thought like that's something different, I've never done it before, it'd be a challenge, I'd obviously do it. But a lot of people get into comedy as a vehicle. So like I'd love to. And you meet these people as soon as you meet them. Feel like in the level when you're in the clubs, you go, if you got offered a job presenting tomorrow, you'd never do stand up again. You'd go, and that's never been it for me. I'm like a stand-up geek. I'm addicted to it. I listen to stand-up all the time. I go back and I go over my own stand-up. So for me, like, I don't care. I don't even particularly want to be an actor or anything like that. I just want to stand in front of people and make them laugh, because that's the best feeling in the world. So for me, I'd love to say like, oh, I'd love to be in Hollywood or this or that. I don't really give a shit too much about that. If I can make a good living just touring and being a stand-up, that is the plan. So that's what we're doing. Every year the venues get a wee bit bigger. I think we're going to put a lot of effort into trying to break some ground in the States in the next few years. Because I've been over a couple of times. I'm doing the New York Comedy Festival this year. So I'm starting to, as you say, just build a wee bit of a network over there. And I've got like this new American agent who's come on board and stuff. So we're going to try and break a bit of ground there. But again, not with the view of like trying to become anything else. I'd literally, if I can just do a tour, if I can get to a point where in 5-6 years time, I can do my first fairly decent sized American tour, that's amazing. So for me, just head down, keep working, keep putting out stuff. I've got a full special coming out. My first ever full special's coming out on the 9th of July. It's just going on YouTube. It's called Vertigo. And then 1994 was my last show, so we're going to record that soon as well and put that out as well. So for me, that's it. I just want to keep writing comedy. I want to keep trying to write stuff that was better than last year's show, and just touring. Touring's the be all and end all for me. Like it's just the acting thing, the tiny bit of acting I've done, I didn't get any of the buzz, because you're on a set, it's very clinical, there's no immediate feedback. Standing in front of an audience is the best feeling in the world, because you don't know what's going to happen. It could go either way, and that's the thing that I want to do. So for me, it's just that we're building up the numbers year on year, and to a point where I've always said I would like to get to a point where the smallest venue I'm doing on tour is 500 or 600. Because like in Scotland, we're doing some really big ones, like King's Theatre. Did 2 King's Theatres last year, and they're 1,700.
Wow.
And like Aberdeen, we're doing about 12 to 1,500 seater venue and stuff. So like that's amazing. Yeah. But if I can get to a place where like the smallest ones that we do in England and that are 500-600, I think that's great. Like, and then we just keep building and building.
So no plans for a Mad Stalker baby reindeer?
Well, I mean, it's been good. It's been good for his career. If I thought I could play in Soccer Aid next year, I'd have a fucking stalker as well.
Stalker Aid.
Hey, there you go. So I just grafting, trying to, but also just like enjoying it. like, I catch myself sometimes, you just have a bad month and you're like, total fucking Debbie Downer. And you go, what's the point? Like, this is the best job in the world. Why? Like, you've got to make sure you're enjoying it. So that's the other thing for me. The second it starts becoming too much like just graft and not fun, I take a wee step back and go, what's causing that? And you go, oh, it's because I'm doing a bunch of gigs that I didn't actually want to do, or I'm just
That's good that you can think that way, because a lot of people in business don't think that way.
Well, like, I'm not saying you should never experience hardship. Like, obviously there's going to be good times and bad times, but I've had times where I'm going, I'm a bit miserable here. And you step back and you go, oh, it's because I'm trying to do too much. And that's what part of the reason why I'm like, I need to start outsourcing a wee bit of the social media and running in my website and that, because like I'm getting too bogged down in that shit and not doing the fun bit enough. So for me, it's just grow the team a wee bit, I guess, get the right people in and just keep tuning.
And get plenty of people along the shows.
Plenty of people, hopefully but the right people. As well, you know what I mean? Like, it's you want to increase your fan base the right way, and that takes a long time, because what you don't want is to be on fucking Dancing on Ice, and then your next tour, it all sells out, but it's fucking everyone in the crowd's 79-year-old and having to go for a piss every 5 minutes. Sorry to the 79-year-olds with weak bladders, but you know what I mean, like, you've got to build it right, because like that never lasts as well.
Slow and steady,
that's it. And I'm building the people that I never get any complaints at my show now for anything that I say, and it's because you'd have to be a fucking idiot to turn up now and not know what you're letting yourself in for. Because I've got a million clips of me doing it online. So that's such a privilege, is that now the audiences come and know what they're letting themselves in for. So like, that's just taking the time to build the right audience.
And get your right content, know what you're creating.
Exactly. Because it'd be shite if every night I had someone storming out because they didn't like a joke. And you go, well, that's clearly one of the people that saw me on fucking Dancing on Ice. Didn't know what they were letting themselves in for. Aye. So, but building the right audience as well is important.
Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Coming on. Really appreciate you coming all the way over the bridge and getting a nosebleed. So, thanks very much.
I know. I'm just excited to see if all the wheels are still on my car.
And we finish off our little strap line.
Yeah, we've got this as the end of each one.
This is your world.
Shape it.
Or someone else will.